The South China Sea, the world's ticking time bomb. The South China Sea is actually a vast, expansive body of water. And if there are any land areas, they're just tiny islands, little coral reefs or rocky outcrops that look really peaceful. But that peaceful, paradise island vibe has changed over the past decade. Now, wherever there's an empty island, they just set up a military base. And if there isn't an island, if it's just open water, that's not a problem either. They just dump sand to build new islands, and once they're done, they put military bases on them. So who's doing this and why? Who has the resources for this? It's easy to guess. I'll explain why in this video. Most importantly, this is a global ticking time bomb. While it seems like a dispute among 6 countries, another country is actually involved. The 7th country. This is what actually triggers the genuine struggle for regional dominance beneath the surface of the South China Sea. It's not just a regional issue, it's actually a collision between 2 global superpowers. That's why it's become a ticking time bomb that we really need to keep an eye on. You can support information about the South China Sea, the world's ticking time bomb, at this QR code, or support the Sign Any Monster channel as well. It's super easy to do. Just hit the subscribe button for us. Some people have even said they love the channel so much, they hit it for every single video. Thank you so much. No worries. Just clicking it once is enough. Once you've subscribed, we won't ask you to do it again. Regarding South China Sea disputes, 6 countries surround it. On every empty island, they set up a military base. If there isn't an island, they just build one. Why do they have to go to such great lengths? It's because this area is considered a real treasure trove of the world. For over 100 years, nobody knew about it until recently. So it's like, hey, I have to get my share. And these disputes here between the 6 countries, they shouldn't fight over it. Legally, rules exist on how much territory each country can claim. But one country won't agree. I'll soon show you the true value of the South China Sea. Because under the South China Sea, there are tens of millions of barrels of oil and natural gas reserves. It's also a major shipping route. Pretty much every ship has to pass through here. The value of this area is as high as $3.4 trillion per year. And since it's a sea, right? And it's actually quite rich and fertile. So it's also a major fishing area, where people catch fish to feed millions of people around the world. So let's take a look at the map first to see which countries surround the South China Sea. Which countries should have right to the resources here? Let's start with the basics and keep it simple for now. There are 6 countries involved: the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, Taiwan, Vietnam, and the largest, China. Normally, there shouldn't really be any conflict, right? Because there are already international laws in place about sharing maritime resources. For example, UNCLOS states that every country can claim a territorial sea of 12 nautical miles as their own. And you can also claim rights to resources up to another 200 nautical miles out. This 200 nautical mile area is called the Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ for short. Remember, EEZ means the 200 nautical miles where you can claim resources, and everyone follows this rule. Every country does the same thing, but there's one country that refuses: China. China refuses to follow this rule, insisting that its rights go beyond this. China doesn't just claim 12 nautical miles or the 200-mile EEZ for resources. Instead, they drew a 9-dash line, declaring this entire zone belongs to them. These lines, created by the Chinese government 70 years ago, are based on historical rights. This claim is the core issue because the history China refers to, China's the only country that recognizes this. No other country accepts it. The International Court ruled in 2016 that the 9-dash line China drew doesn't have enough legal basis for China to claim resources in this area. But China refused to accept this. China doesn't agree that, for example, the 12 nautical miles belong to China, or that it can claim resource rights within 200 nautical miles according to the EEZ. Since China wouldn't accept it, they started thinking about what to do next. So China came up with a method. That is, they exploited a loophole in the UNCLOS rules about the EEZ, which says, okay, if 12 nautical miles are my country's territory, and I can claim resources within 200 nautical miles, right? Well, then it's Nahorn. Just build up islands right in the middle of the sea and say, these belong to China. Or if they don't build up an island, China will just find from empty islands, right? And set up a military base there. For example, take the Spratly Islands. There are a lot of disputes there because it's in an area where 3 countries can claim resources from it. So China brought in a massive amount of sand to fill it up, built it up higher, and claimed it as Chinese territory. Then they set up a military base there too. They've got everything, like an airstrip, weapons, and a port. And once they finished building the island and the Chinese military base, right, they claimed easy rights, saying that within 200 nautical miles from this island, China can claim the resources. In 2014, China also set up an oil drilling platform in Vietnam's EEZ. And just setting up the oil rig wasn't enough. They sent dozens of ships to protect that area as well. At that time, the Vietnamese people came out to protest, but China didn't care. And this dispute in the South China Sea is actually one of the main reasons why China and the Philippines have been clashing for such a long time. Because in 2021, China once ordered more than 200 fishing boats to anchor at Whitsun Reef, which is actually in the Philippines' EE zone. The Philippines saw what happened to Vietnam in 2014 and worried China was sending boats again. Protective of Whitsun Reef, they sent ships to confront China directly, leading to an ongoing standoff between both sides. Now, let me walk you through which countries are involved in disputes in the South China Sea. There are 6 countries, and all of them are in conflict with China. I'll list them in order from the least intense to the most serious. The least intense dispute right now seems to be with Taiwan. Surprised, right? Taiwan doesn't want to fight with China over the South China Sea anymore. It's because there's already been a lot of conflict, and they don't want any more arguments. Another country is Brunei. Brunei doesn't really want to clash with China either because it relies heavily on trade with China. Malaysia is kind of in the middle. For the most part, they don't want conflict either, but they're willing to stand up to China on certain issues. The one thing Malaysia won't tolerate is if China tries to do anything like surveying or setting up oil rigs in Malaysia's EEZ resource area. They won't allow it. As for Vietnam, Vietnam doesn't fight with China either. I really have to give them credit for being smart. They just follow whatever China does. China builds up islands and military bases, right? Vietnam sees that and goes, hey, let's do that too. In 2022, Vietnam also built a military base on a coral reef and gradually expanded it, basically doing exactly what China did. Same model. Actually, China probably isn't happy seeing Vietnam do that, right? But the strange thing is, China lets Vietnam do it. Okay, you want to do it, go ahead. I'm not going to say anything. I think it's because China has to expand its production capacity into Vietnam a lot. And also, Vietnam's government is a communist party too, right? So China doesn't really want to fight with Vietnam. So the only country left that's really clashing with China the most is the Philippines. The Philippines is the one conflict that China still can't handle. In 2022, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. came to power, and he declared that the Philippines, our country, will not give up even an inch of its territory. Before Marcos took office, the preceding administration seemed hesitant to speak openly about China entering the Philippines' EEZ resource zone. But Marcos is different. He takes a much more assertive stance. China acts. So Marcos and the Philippine PR team responded by releasing this video. It shows the Chinese Coast Guard tailing and blocking Philippine vessels. They even went as far as blasting the Philippine ships with high-powered water cannons. The Philippines intentionally released these images to gain sympathy from other countries, since the Philippines is just a small nation compared to China. They also wanted to get cooperation and support from neighboring countries that are involved in the dispute. Since then, there have been several more confrontations between the Philippines and China, and that ended up putting a lot of pressure on the situation. It made the relationship between China and the Philippines really heated. Things kept bubbling up, but it hasn't quite exploded yet. Honestly though, if you look at the disputes that have happened, the sea just keeps bubbling and simmering like that. It's really just a dispute between China and the Philippines. This is a totally local issue. I think the world doesn't really need to worry too much about these kinds of local disputes. And I wouldn't call the South China Sea a ticking time bomb for the world either. But the thing is, the China-Philippines conflict we see isn't the whole story. The reason we have to call the South China Sea a ticking time bomb for the world is because of more than just that. Because the country that China is clashing with most intensely right now is the Philippines, and the Philippines used to be a colony of the United States. And the Philippines was once the spearhead of NATO in the East and Asia as well. And ever since the end of the Cold War, the United States has made a promise to the Philippines that if the Philippines is attacked, and not just an attack on the country itself, but also if a Philippine state vessel is attacked, the United States will step in and provide assistance. That's why there is a growing concern among many observers that what China is currently doing to the Philippines could escalate into a significant diplomatic issue that allows the United States to invoke this agreement to assist the Philippines. And it could potentially lead to a confrontation. Once I learned this information, it made me realize, oh, that's why the Philippines is the country that's bold enough to stand up to China the most in the region. I'm not sure the US will have time to help, given their own economic issues. They're currently in a trade war, negotiating with China and every other country. But if the US doesn't step in to help the Philippines, it doesn't have to be right now. But if they don't step in a timely manner, it could mean leaving the Philippines to face China on their own, right? And then the Philippines might be pressured by China into making a deal. And it's possible that if they end up reaching an agreement where both sides win, the Philippines might distance itself from the United States. This is just my personal opinion, but I think there's a chance it could happen. So let's get to the last question, which I'm sure everyone listening to this clip is secretly wondering. Why does China dare to claim so many resources in the South China Sea? They drew the 9-dash line. Where did that come from? It's because China has its own evidence to back it up. It's a historical map that China once commissioned from a wealthy merchant who created this map back in the 1600s. This map shows the area in very clear and detailed terms. That's exactly right. And it clearly shows the Chinese trade routes like this, like that on this map. The map is also able to accurately depict the various islands and reefs in the South China Sea. That means it's evidence that China really did conduct trade along this route. But the International Court doesn't accept this as evidence for China to use in claiming resource areas. Do you happen to know the reason why? Because this map merely provides some historical evidence that China traded along this route, but it does not necessarily prove that China actually possessed this entire area. But China got angry and refused to back down because here's what happened. Back in 1930, when the French arrived in Southeast Asia, they went ahead and claimed sovereignty over these islands. And then, toward the end of the 1930s, Japan also came in and made a claim. But Japan isn't part of this dispute anymore, because after World War II ended, Japan lost the war, right? The United States forced Japan to return all the territories it had seized, including the islands in the South China Sea. Japan had to give them back and withdraw. At that time, China had already been trading in this area for a long time. Actually, they're just small islands where Chinese people would stop by to rest or take a break. But China never officially claimed this area as its own because historically, no one really thought that these rocky islands or coral reefs would have any resources or be worth much. So maybe China just didn't think about claiming them back then. But in the modern world, once drilling started, explorations were conducted, and it was discovered that beneath these rocky islands and coral reefs, there are abundant resources. They're full of oil. Plus, it's a major trade crossroads, generating a massive $3.4 trillion US a year. This is another key point. Anyone interested in investment or things like that really shouldn't overlook it. Because as long as the conflict stays at a regional level, it's still manageable. But if at any point this conflict escalates from a regional issue to a real clash between China and the United States, that's when it becomes a ticking time bomb for the world.